Yes, people, welcome to my channel, Balaclava Blogger. Please comment in the comments block if you want to say anything. That'd be great. It'd be great to hear from you and to see you as online watching the story. So I wanted to write a book, and I still may write a book, but I wanted to get my story out there and hopefully in that process help other people. People are coming on now as I'm speaking, which is great. I want to try and help some other people who've been through similar stuff that I've been through. So this will be the first episode tonight. And it's going to be hard hitting. My life when a bed of roses. So I'm just here to tell my story, no one else's. And everything I've been through, I've been through a lot. Thinking about it. But if I can get through some of the stuff I've been through, so can you people. So please do comment in the comments, so I can get a live comment as I'm speaking and I can see who's on, get your reactions and stuff. Please do subscribe, like this video. I just want to get it out there. You see, the more people that subscribe and share, the better it is. You know what I mean? It'll connect with more people that way. So, thanks. So my story is it's not unique. It's just a story. But there's been some really tough, challenging times in my life. So take from it what you can. Morning, Chris. Daisy Gecko. Good evening, my mate. I knew you'd be here. Thank you for everything you did for me on my bike ride, sponsoring me. Much appreciated. So I was born on the 3rd of July, 1972, in Birkenhead, which if you don't know, obviously YouTube is a big platform, which is in the northwest of England, near to Liverpool. I was born in St. Cath's Hospital to my mother, and my mum had her own problems as I was born. She was a alcoholic, so she was dependent on alcohol. I had 4 sisters. I'm going to name them all. Lynn's the oldest. Then I've got Sharon. She's my second oldest. Then I've got Caroline, who passed away. And you'll hear that story in a minute. And Michelle and myself. So there was 4 girls and me, 5 of us. I was the only lad, and I'm the youngest. So my mum, as I just said, my mum was alcohol dependent. Seriously, alcohol dependent. She could not function without alcohol in her when I was born. And my dad, I never ever got to meet my real dad. And all I know about from him is obviously I've got family in Liverpool and Wavertree. So my dad's side is from Wavertree. They all live in Wavertree. I've got contacts with them. My cousins from Wavertree who are on my Facebook and things like that. So I never knew my dad. He was a bus driver. He was from Wavertree. Him and my mum were together and they had 5 kids together. But I never got to meet him. And from a young age, obviously, as my mum was an alcoholic, there used to be lots of men coming in and out of the house. She'd go out, mum would go out. My sister would mind me. I was a baby. We ended up in care. The long and short of it is, we ended up in care because in our household there was lots of violence. There was lots and lots of violence. Like obviously to my mum. My mum used to get battered left, right, and centre by these men who she'd allow into the house. It's it's been hard, you know. She was an alcoholic. You used to see her getting beaten up on regular occasions. My dad never met. He died when I was 15, and we were all placed into care due to the violence and the neglect what was going on in the house. Because obviously my mum, God bless her soul, she's passed away now. She couldn't look after us either. So we ended up in care. I ended up in a place what was run by nuns. Now, in the 70s, these places were very strict. It's very daunting talking about this place because it really does put shivers down my spine when I talk about Nazareth House, which was, as I just said, a children's home run by nuns. There was lots of abuse in that place. It was a bad place, but obviously I was a baby, and I've learned later on from my sister that they were abused in that place. And obviously I was a kid, I was a baby, so I didn't really know what was going on. But I ended up doing another stint in there, so that's when I was a bit older. And then obviously I realised what the place was. Yeah. So from there, really, I got moved from kids' homes to kids' homes. I did have time back at the family home. There weren't a care order on me when I was that young. At that time, the care order got put on me a bit later on. And, she tried to, listen, God rest my mum's soul, she tried her best for us. She had 5 kids, not a decent man in her life. All my mum were in her life was shit. Let's have it right, they were fucking pieces of shit. They'd hit her, they'd abuse her, and it was shit being in that environment because I lived, when we lived with my mum, if we were naughty, one of these men would, one of my stepdads, he would set dogs on us. He had a dog, what was called Hunter. If we messed about as kids do, you mess about, it set these dogs on us. The dog was called Hunter, and it was massive. That's just one incident, I was locked in bedrooms with, I was an unruly child. Let me tell you, what I'd witnessed growing up, up to that age, I was just unruly. So I was locked in my bedroom. I was fed bread and water, as if that was the in thing, as if that would somehow teach me to behave. When really, all that did was infueled anger in me. You know what I mean? Being fed bread and water by your parents is like pretty shocking. But that's how it was in them days, and and you just accepted it. If you were to do that in this day and age, there'd be uproar. If you used to feed a kid bread and water and lock them in a bedroom so they couldn't get out for days on end, there'd be some things to say about that. But in them days, that sort of stuff was normal. Getting levered with a leather belt. Anything what was at hand, I'd get levered with, shoes, ashtrays, honestly, the belts, brushes over your head, whatever. And that was the family home. So obviously, it was very hard growing up in that environment, and we ended up in care. And at the time, I just wanted to be with my mum, really, because I thought my mum needed a man in her life, and it needed to be me. But I was only this kid, and I couldn't even look after my own mum because I was a kid. And she had these men. She got married 4 times in her life, my mum. So obviously, I had a few stepdads in that time, and really, not one of them were good for her. Not one of them men were role models. Let me tell you. They've all passed away now as well. She's passed away. I'm going to tell you some stories. I know how I ended up at my mum's funeral, and there's loads of. This is just episode. This is just the beginning. So I grew up in that environment and ended up in care. And the first kids' home was at Nazareth House, which was run by nuns, which is very, very wrong. It was a bad place to be. You'd think people who believe in God would be trustworthy and would look after you. On the contrary, they weren't like that. They were evil people in them days. So enough about that. I'm going to move on. So I ended up in, as I said, different kids' homes. But while I was at these periods at home with my mum, when my mum would sort herself out, she'd come to kids' homes, steal us back because they weren't a care order on us, and we'd end up back in the home, and I'd sneak out, go and light fires. I was just a rogue. I'd light fires, I'd go missing, I'd go on the railways. I was just unruly. She couldn't control me. One of my sisters turned into alcohol as well. I'd come home from school, my mum wouldn't be there. My sister would be on the doorstep drinking. She wasn't even old enough to drink. I've got a very good relationship with that sister today, Arshan, and she's always been my go-to sister. I love her dearly. I love all my sisters dearly. But I've just got a little something special about Arshan, and at this moment in time, she's got her own problems. She's got a brain tumor, and she's got to have a major operation. So, I've got that over my head at the minute. But let's get back to the story. And it was tough growing up, but I was unruly. I suppose you could see why. I was anti-authority straight away. Being locked in my bedroom, climbing out the window, doing runners, running away from the home. And I ended up in a kids' home. Honestly, I could name all the kids' homes I was in. It was unbelievable the way I got moved about. Brook Willis, Wimbrick Hay, Hillgrove, just to name a few. This is St. Peter's, Milverton Court. Honestly, there was that many kids' homes I was in. It was and in the 70s, being in kids' homes was really bad too. And I'm gonna touch on it. Lots of stuff happened to me in them kids' homes. In some you were physically abused, which means you got a good hiding. And you know what? I accepted that because I just thought that was the norm. To be getting done in by grown men in these kids' homes if you messed about. And I just thought that was it. That's the way it is. And they accepted it. Getting beatings in these kids' homes. It was tough. And further on in my youth, I was like 10, 11. I ended up in a kids' home down in Shropshire. I got moved about an awful lot. And I went live on my Facebook video not long ago. Got to be careful what I say because it's under investigation still. So this kids' home I went back to when I was on my bike ride. I haven't told you all that yet, but I went to this kids' home where I was in when I went to put some things to bed because I'd never share that I was abused before on a scale of what I did. So I happened to be in that part of the country, and I went to the kids zone. I recorded it live on my Facebook newsfeed. I went live like I am now. And you know what? I come clean. I opened my mouth. I thought, because once I've spoke it live on my Facebook, I can't deny it again. I can't try and block it out, keep it a secret anymore. People will know and people will understand a bit why Teddy is Teddy. So I've done that video on the context of it's going to help me move forward with my life. Because honestly, I've had so many struggles due to that stuff that went on in them places that I didn't want to share with anyone, and it kept me sick. And by that I mean, it kept me using drugs for a long, long time. And I couldn't share that stuff. So what had happened is I'd relapse. But I went back to that kids' homes, and that's why I did that. I went back there because I wanted to out them. I wanted it to be justice, and I wanted for someone else who was going through any of that stuff to be able to open their mouth and speak about it, because I believe it takes a man to be able to speak about that stuff. You know, I'm getting lovely comments now. Thank you. Dirty Gecko, thank you, mate. I know you, Chris, very well. Thank you. Much appreciated. Mehmet Holman, hello there. Sending love from London, 100%. Thank you. Honestly, appreciate it. But let me carry on. Of what happened, So obviously, in that kids' home, I was physically abused, which was beatings daily. Now, if you messed about, you're made to come downstairs in the middle of the night. So, you live in a dormitory with other lads as a child, and you mess about, you have pillow fights, and play hide and seek and all that sort of stuff. And to be doing that in the night, you used to get dragged downstairs. Thank you. Yeah. So recommended by Dirty Gecko. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Chris is passing people to come onto my channel. Love it. So so you used to get brought downstairs in your underwear, stand in the corner, and they used to play games with you. And not sexual games. This is physical and mental abuse, what they used to do to you. This went sexual at this part. Now, they used to make you stand there holding books out in your arms, make you run around the car park, a gravel car park, in your bare feet, around this big mansion of a house. Honestly, it used to make you jump in a cold swimming pool in the middle of the night, freezing cold, and then stand there and do endurance, like holding books and stuff like that. So it was really evil stuff what they did to you. Then obviously, then there was so that was the physical abuse, mental abuse, getting hidings. So no wonder I ran away from them places. I ran away from them places trying to find solitude and find peace, because I never had none at all growing up. It weren't peaceful at my family home, and the family was broken. We were hard up, and we were honestly. And when I say hard up, what I mean by that was we had it rough. I grew up in probably one of the roughest parts of the Wirral, which is T Street. What people used to do there to survive was to go on the tip. The tip is where everyone's rubbish goes, and you see them all honestly go fighting for. As soon as a truck had come, bang, they'd all be on the tip. I grew up on that area, and I had to divulge in that sort of behaviour. Trust me, as a kid, I was sent on there. So I was trying to find solitude when I run away for myself. I was trying to be at peace with myself, and I couldn't. I had turmoil wherever I was. It was tough. And what I found at that young age is I found crime. I found substances. First of all, I found substances which did help heal with the trauma that I'd been through at that age. So can you imagine being 10 years old, being abused sexually, physically, and mentally, and not able to tell anyone? because you thought they wouldn't believe you. You're lying. You know, you're a kid. You're a rogue. You know, you felt worthless anyway. And it was a really hard secret. I kept that secret for many, many years. You know what? When I went back to that home, it's only a few months ago I went back there, and I've since learned, obviously, the police are involved at this moment in time. Because you know what? I was a kid. I didn't deserve it. I've learned, you know what? I was a child. Yeah. Why should I feel guilty? Why should I feel embarrassed, ashamed, because of what some adult took advantage of me for? I shouldn't. So anyone struggling with any of that sort of stuff, please message me, email me, and I'll help you as much as I can. Because I know it is tough, and the quicker you speak about it and get help with it, the better. Yeah, so growing up was, as you can tell, to go through all that was tough. To see my mum getting levered, not me, my dad. My dad died when I was, I think I was 15. When he died, I'd never met him. But since my dad's brothers, his kids, my cousins from Wavertree, obviously I've met them, and I met them in the prison establishment, which was quite mad. So I'm going to start talking about like my drugs and my crime now, and what happened, and mad, my life. Yeah, so I ended up finding substances, as I've said, in these kids' homes, and I started experimenting with, like, you know, aerosols, solvents, Evo stick, all that stuff. I tried it all, and you know what? It eased my mind from all the stuff what had gone on in them early years. Already, you know, when I found substances, it put me at ease with myself, because I was wrecked, man. Honestly, my head was wrecked. Hello from the States. More people come from the States on Chris's guest, so thank you, Chris. Much appreciated. I'd like you to share my channel if you can, guys, and let's get this out there in my story. I just need help doing that. And I want to do it on this because it's more authentic doing it live than reading on a book. You can meet the person who's telling the story, and I just think it's a better way to interact with people. It's like face to face, really. Yeah, so I found substances like, obviously, as I said, sniffing, all that stuff, alcohol. And what happened is I took them stuff, and as I said, my mind become at ease with itself a bit more. It was settled. But when I never had any substances, my mind was constantly racing and weren't good. And when I was 7 years of age, this is before I just found substances. 7 years of age, I was playing out in the north end of T Street, and I fell out of a derelict house, which we used to call them, a bombed out house. And I fell out of the house, and I ended up in the children's hospital for months and months and months. I was nearly blind. Honestly, it's mad. I couldn't see. Couldn't see. A big hole in my head. And what I was doing, I was just a nuisance. I was grounded for going in bombed houses and going in black. You know, I'd be in these derelict houses and I'd go home and I'd be black, covered in soot and all sorts. And my mum would go, "You've been in them bombed houses again. You're grounded. You're not allowed out." And so anyway, I was grounded one time, but then my friend knocked for me and she said, "You can go out, but stay out of them bombed houses." I says, "All right, mum." Goes out. First thing I did, bang, into a bombed house. That was where we used to play. I'm walking on these beams with no floor, no nothing. All honestly, and I just fell on this beam up in the air and fell out the window. This bombed house onto the floor. And as I said, I ended up in hospital for months having all sorts of tests on my brain and to see the injuries. And who knows what effect that's had on me over the years. You know, I don't know. But then, as I said, I ended up in care and I found substances and, you know, they helped. They helped. Well, at the time, I thought they helped, but I found crime. It started off my crimes, obviously, as probably most people's are. I ran away from the kids' home. This is the first crime I did. I ran away from the kids' home, and I needed to get back to Liverpool. So we stole a car, a group of us, and we took Jay's in the car. We got arrested in the car, and ended up in the police station and dragged back to the kids' home to be severely beaten. So obviously, every opportunity I got, I wanted to run away from the home, and I tried it on numerous occasions. So let me breathe it now. Yeah, one minute, I'll just keep going, guys. I'll just keep going 1 minute. Take this with me. Yeah, and I wanted to try and get home all the time. You know, I wanted to try and get home. Sorry about this, guys. Turn out the light. Yeah, I wanted to get out so I could get home. And on doing that, I ended up committing crimes, shoplifting, stealing from cars, to try and get ways of going home and getting alcohol when I was in the kids' zones. Now, I suppose my first real drug was cannabis, obviously. I had a thing for cannabis. I used to like it. Now, obviously, I don't smoke any now, but if you were to offer me a spliff now, I couldn't think of anything worse to have. Because what it does to your mind, you can get paranoid and, I couldn't think of anything worse. But at that time, I used to be really, really used to be into taking cannabis, and I was moved about all these kids' zones because I was unruly. Which you'd expect me to be unruly when you're getting beaten, getting abused sexually, physically, and mentally, as I've talked about. I end up in a secure unit. I couldn't run away from there. So really, a secure unit is like for a child to be locked up. Do you know what I mean? You'd get exercise and education, but you'd be locked in a room of a night, locked in. You could not escape. Mad. And that was my first. That was my first taste of being locked up. Apart from, as I talked about, when I was just plug this in, from when I was a kid, obviously getting locked up by my mum. Yeah, it was tough. So from I sort of like, my education weren't the best. I couldn't concentrate. I'd be in classrooms, and when I was in class, I wouldn't be thinking of what the teacher was saying. I'd just be staring into space and looking out the window. My concentration span is bad. It still is today. Obviously I'm a bit better than I was. But, I don't know whether it was because that fall I had, I couldn't concentrate, or was it just everything what was going on in my mind at the time, I couldn't concentrate. I don't know, and I still haven't got the answers for that today. I'm a lot better than I was, obviously. But I still find it hard to concentrate and focus and take things on board, and really, I do. I find it really tough. You know, and sometimes it's hard to admit that you find it hard to read, write, go to school. I never had any of that. You know what I mean? I never really had a good education because I'd always leave school and I just wouldn't attend. When I was in there, I was just disruptive. I'd get sent home. And normally, when you get sent home from the school I was in, it was on the premises of the kids' home. So it wasn't good because then you'd be getting beatings and stuff, you know. Sorry, my phone's just gone. I'm going to leave it now. You know what? I've been chatting for half an hour already. Mad. But look at this. Shelby Ross at Daisy Gecko sent me an hello from the United States. Thank you. Honestly, thank you for you people for coming to join us. I really love it. This story will get a bit more. Obviously, this is just the beginning. Obviously, there's been some trauma already, as you know, but this story does go on. And you know what? Looking back on my life, I just think quite a horrendous life I had. You know, but how blessed I am today, which honestly, I'm going to explain why I am blessed today, but that won't be till later on in the story, obviously. So we're just on chapter 1, and I call this chapter. And in the beginning, God created me. This is chapter 1, and that's why I called it, because God themed. Not that I am a mad Bible basher or anything like that. I believe in spirituality. I do believe in God. I believe God of my understanding. I just do believe that, you know, I'd turned my back on God for so long. That's what I believe. But I won't go into that part yet. I'm still in my youth, still in kids' home, still in secure units, still being, off the rails. And I was off the rails because, as I said to you before, I thought I had a reason to be off the rails. Abuse, to suffer abuse on the scale that I did. You're going to be off the rails. You're going to be mentally scarred. You're going to be traumatized. You're not going to trust anyone. And it's tough. It was really, really tough, and that's just my youth. So obviously that is just me from a baby. Alcoholic parents. I found substances. I had it rough, man. And what I wanted to ever do was just wanted to be at home in a normal family, and I couldn't. I ended up in kids' homes with my sisters. At one stage, I was in this kids' home, Hillgrove, and my two sisters were in there with me, which was a bit of a comfort. That was probably one of the better kids' homes I was in, because my sisters were in there. And if I needed anything, I could go to them for help. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And now I look back on it and I think, wow, my sisters have been through them hills too. No wonder we've all been through what we've been through. And you'll find out more when I get on in the story of what we've all been through. Because I will share a bit of their story, but obviously it's not my business to share their life story. But, so that was my youth. It was bad. I found substances, and the story does go from there to crime. So obviously, I'm gonna give it another. I'll keep going till 9, I think, and then, because obviously I really do appreciate you people sitting here listening to my story, and hopefully other people will log on and see it, and maybe I can help them, because there's a goal at the end of this, telling my story and why I'm doing it this way. You know, So substances and crime, they go hand in hand. You commit crimes, pay for your substances, and then obviously you've got it on your crime, substances, crime, prison, court, probation, bump, that circle of the criminal justice system. I end up in that, obviously. There was no other way for me to go, really. I ended up serving numerous sentences. There's the wife. Do you want to meet the wife, guys? No, she doesn't want to show. There's the wife. She's not the wife yet. So thank you for joining me. There's another person joining there. Hello, welcome. Pleased to meet you. So I end up in prisons all over the country. So my crimes were at first very intuitive crimes. So just like shopliftings, on the spur of the moment, that sort of stuff. And then stealing cars, joyriding, it was the easy option to go stealing to get your money for your drugs. But obviously then at the beginning, my drugs was just cannabis, just bad enough on its own. My drugs then were cannabis. But obviously I started committing crime, but I went into no heavy drugs at that time. Heavy as in crack, heroin, not like that. I was just into weed, going out for Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. I go to the clubbing, the rave scene. 1988, 89, 90. I took part in going to raves in them years, and I found other great substances what I thought were great at the time: ecstasy, speed, trips, LSD, mushrooms. And I used to go clubbing, and that was it. I'd take them, and the world was great again. Not a bad brew, that. Yeah, and the world was great. The acid scene was born. 88, 89, 90 was probably the best of years. What I remember, because 92 I was in prison, so I missed it, the arse end of it. But yeah, there's nothing like going to a club, sweating, dancing all night, sweating.
Dancing all night.
Dancing all night, remember? Sweating, dancing all night.
Couldn't have kept up with me, son.
Yeah. So my partner, she's funny. So she's just said, you couldn't have kept up with me. She's in recovery herself. She's been in that scene herself, so she's great. But I'll introduce you to her later on in the videos and stuff. I don't want to rush this in telling my story. I just want to, take my time, speak to you people as I'm going along, and you can put your input into it as well. As I said, join in on the live comments, join in. Thank you, Shelby, for subscribing. Much appreciated. I want to get this channel booming. With your help, we'll do that. but there's a message in it why I'm doing it this way, because obviously YouTube, you can get monetized for it, so you can earn money, but the money will be going towards the charity what I've set up. So you'll hear more about that. So obviously I'm just gonna keep going till 10, till 9, sorry. That's an hour. So yeah, so we end up in the rave scene, doing all that stuff, raving all night, coming out of the club, up all night. And then obviously how I got into harder drugs was the come down. So you'd be sledging, you'd be up all night, you've been raving all night, drinking, ease, trips, speeding, whatever you could get your hands on, you'd take. Well, I would. And then I sent my friend one night. I sent my friend for to go and get weed, and then in them days it was fiver weeds, and I sent him to get a fiver weed between us, and he went off on his bike. Next thing you know, he's back, and he went, "Sadie, I couldn't get any weed. This kid was my best mate." So you're gonna hear some stuff here what really does affect me. This kid was honestly, he was my best mate. When I was in school, this is the kid I went to school with, who was with me. I sent him for weed, and he come back and he went, "Can't get no weed." "What do you mean you can't get no weed?" He went, "There's a drought on it, isn't it? But I've got this." And he pulled out this little paper wrap, size of a miniature envelope, but obviously it was tiny. And it was a small wrap of heroin. I've never seen it up to that point. I've never ever seen heroin. I didn't really know what it did to you. The thing about Grange Hill and all that wasn't out at that time then. I'm sure it was a bit later on after that. Gamo just say no. I think that was just a bit after. Well, I was what? When that happened, I was 16, 15, 16 when I sent him for that. I think it was 16, 17 when I sent him for that weed, yeah. And he come back with a fiver bag of heroin, and I went, "It's my money. I'm smoking it too." Now, little did I know, taking that would screw me up for the rest of my life. Honestly, little did I know, if them few lines what I had that night would lead to the devastation that it did, I probably wouldn't have done it. But who knows? Who knows? I can't blame that, but I knew that had an effect on me, and that's why I. So anyway, I said, "You're not smoking it. I'm smoking it with you." Bang! I smoked it, and I got this feeling of, bang! All my problems have gone. I was just lying there, pinned, gouching, falling asleep. If you know about heroin, you know the score. And I felt wrapped in cotton wool. I felt loved. I felt like that was it. I have landed. That was the drug for me, clearly. All my problems, all my issues, from what I've told you about just there, all the abuse, everything else, they disappeared. Let me tell you. They were gone while I was under the influence of, while I was under the influence of that. Mad. I didn't think about it. So yeah. And I had it, and do you know what? When I had it, I was violently ill. I was mad. I was sick, honestly, until projectile vomiting, and like honestly, just buckets and buckets of it. I was itchy. I was like, honestly, I was scratching to death. It was mad. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, it was mad. And I just thought, wow. Next day, I done it again. Even though I was sick, itching to death, I couldn't sleep because I was like, oh, I've been mad. I was itchy as anything. I couldn't sleep. But I just felt warm, wrapped up in cotton wool, as they say. And that's the scenario people say they felt like they were wrapped in cotton wool. And I did, and I get it, and I get what they mean. The problems I didn't think about. All the issues what had gone on in your life I didn't think about while I was under that influence of that. But the next day, I had it again, and then another day after that I had it, and then another day. Next thing you know, I've had it for about 10 days on the run. Cannabis was not my thing, and then I was just like, I'd rather have this, it's lovely. And little did I know what had happened to me, because obviously my nose started running. I was getting cramps in my legs. I was feeling sick and thinking, wow, what is it? Little did I know, obviously, little did I know I was withdrawing. I was withdrawing from heroin. It was a strange thing to go through for the first time. So Wednesday mate went, wow, what's that? And he told me, he said, no, you're rough, lad, you're rattling. You need to get some more down here and it'll go. So what did I do? Bang, more. What happened then? That was it. I was on that road of destruction. So obviously my crime started getting a lot worse. I started. So my crimes were obviously. I was like, I'd sneak in offices, I'd do burglaries, I'd burgle offices, I'd steal from cars, I'd do robberies. My crime sort of like really low levels to start with. Then it starts getting more serious. I end up getting lots of prison for my crimes. I done armed robberies. I done robberies. I done Section 18 wounding. So obviously, Section 18 wounding, if you don't know, is where you beat someone up. And what happened is, I was in my house using drugs. But what happened is, someone booted my front door. Bang, 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 booted it. I thought, right, it's going off. So I pulled out my metal bar. Comes to the door. No one was there. I've gone to the end of the entry, and I've given this lad it. I've battered this lad with this metal bar, and I got jailed for it. Rightly so. Because I was thinking someone was coming to have me off. Because what happened is I started doing crimes what were very risky. But what I mean by that is drug dealers. Selling drugs. I started selling drugs with some of my mates who were well known, good lads. I started selling drugs with them. But before you know it, you're smoking it all. I started, drugs dealers, and I started taking them for what they had. I didn't really care. Started taking drug dealers for their drugs. And what I did, so some of them were just like, honestly, opportunist robberies on them. Some had set up proper get someone to ring them, get them to come out, and I'll just come behind them with a knife and take them off them, strip them, tie them up, and take whatever they are on them, take it off them. No, and I don't say that with like thinking I was the bollocks or anything. Honestly, listen, I was just hooked on drugs. I was a mess. I would go to any lengths to get them. You know, you hear the saying, don't you, when people are in recovery, that they go to any lengths to get clean and stay clean. I would go to any lengths to get my drug inside me. So, you know, some of the sentences I've received. So some of the sentences I end up getting. So I've done like 2.5 years, 5 years, 4 years. I've done loads. I got a life sentence. So if you don't know, I got a thing called like 3 strikes, you know. So obviously my offences with that, I was that uncontrollable on the crimes I commit. They had to get me off the streets, and when they got me off the streets, they had to keep me off the streets. And the only way they could do that was to give me a life sentence. So can you imagine this? I'm in Liverpool Crown Court, the QE2. I'm going up for robberies, and I'm sat downstairs and I'm thinking, hopefully I just get a 10. This is my thinking. I'm thinking, hopefully I just get 10 years. I will be absolutely made up with a 10. And I goes up to court. Judge Dennis Clark, and he goes, I sentence you to a life sentence. But if you behave, you can be out within 9 or something, he said. It didn't make sense of the way he sentenced me. So I just thought, I've got 9 years. For some reason, I never heard a life sentence when I was getting sentenced. I just thought, right, 9 years. I thought, right, 9 years. Oh, it's all right. It's not too bad. But when it gets back to the prison, it gets on the sweatbox and all that. And I goes to when you're in prison, you go to the reception area when you come back from court off the sweatbox, and I'm at the counter, the reception desk, and the screw goes to me. The screw goes to me. 99 years, Mr. Hughes. I went, what? He went, I said, I've got 9 years. He went, 9 years? No, you've got 99 years. I went, what? He went, yeah, if you look on here, on the file in big red writing, it said, lifer. In big red letters, you know, with a big red felt pen. And I was like, sunk in then, you know. Prior to that, let me just say, prior to that, I'd done lots and lots of jail prior to that, and I weren't the best behaved prisoner, let me tell you. I weren't no model prisoner. I'd be getting my drugs in jail by hook or by crook still, and you know, get them on visits. I'd sax people. I don't say that because I was do you know what? Now, I don't like saying that as if I was some sort of fucking hard man or anything. I'm not. I was just that desperate for my drugs. I would do whatever it took to get them. Now, if that meant someone had drugs and someone said to me, go and do him in, and I'll give you that, bang, no, it's a problem, give it here, I'd go and do it. And that was the mentality I had. How fucking stupid am I? So that was my mentality. You know, but listen, before I got that life sentence, the kid who went and got me my first bag of heroin, I done a bank with him. Listen to this. I done a bank with him. And what happened is, I've been nicked now for this bank. No, sorry. The next morning after the bank was done, the next day, bang, we all got swooped on. I managed to get away. from the job and from the busies when they were busting out of states. I got away, and next thing you know, bang, he's nicked. Next thing, I'm nicked. I'm wanted. I find out I'm wanted for that fucking job, obviously. And I knew I was. So what happened is, he gets out on bail. My friend got out on bail, no criminal record, hadn't done anything before. So he gets out. I get remanded to prison because obviously I've got lots of previous already. And when I was on remand for that charge, he took his life, took his own life. He outside his girlfriend's, who I'm still friends with today, his girlfriend, with his dog lead. He got his dog lead and put it around his neck, and he hung himself outside his girlfriend's bedroom window. And he was fucked on drugs like me, you know. He introduced me to heroin. I don't blame him. I just felt really, really sad when I found out that news that he'd took his own life. You know, he was my co-defendant on one of my robberies. And I've learned of late that life is very, very precious. And you'll hear why. You know, you will hear why. You know, so he took his own life. That destroyed me. And you know what? If I could turn back the clock, I wish I bloody could. Honestly, I really do. But I can't. But my life has made me who I am. I haven't finished yet, obviously, guys, but I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. I'm going to go through some comments with you and speak to you, but I'll just finish it for tonight's episode here anyway. But yeah, if I could turn back time, I would. But then I say, my life has shaped the person who I am, who I've become. Some of my beliefs I believe in now are due to the life I've had. I've met some beautiful people, and you're going to hear about them. You know, Chris, thank you for, you know, showing me loads of love, getting people on to come on from America. Been amazing. So guys, that is just the first episode. So that's just the start of it, really, you know. So I just want to say hello, obviously. I hope I say this right. Mehmet Holman, hello. Jeremy Rosa, hello. Shelby Rosa, hello. Pleased to meet you. Thank you. Please subscribe and like. Chris, everyone drop a like and share it, please. Thank you. Much appreciated. Drop a like and share, please. Hello, Gavin. So, yeah, Darcells Avon. Yeah, Darcells Avon. How's it going, guys? Pleased to meet you, mate. I've dropped a like. Thank you very much. Done. Ian Marshall. Hello, Ian. Oi, oi. And Chris, my mate, Dirty Gecko. Oi, oi, Lee. Welcome, Lee. If you end up getting a life sentence in prison, and you said, yeah, well, luckily I've just told us all that. Honestly, just thank you all for coming. And I think, what day is it today? Monday. So I think I'll do I'll just keep doing this, going live, sharing my story and what I'm trying to do. Okay, so it's gone on for an hour, this video, so that's good. But I just want to thank you all for coming on. You know, for all the likes. Much appreciated for subscribing. If you could share my channel, that'd be great. You know, and I'll divulge into some more of my really sad existence at that time, up until I've really found myself, which, you know, my life was bad. It's a lot better today, for a few reasons, and you'll learn why later on, and why I'm doing what I'm doing to try and help other people not end up down roads that I have been down. So obviously I want to help the youth of our towns and our cities not end up in systems, and by systems I mean the probation system, social services system, obviously the care system, the prison system, secure units, the police, probation. I want to try and get them on a proper path of productive. I can't even say the word productivity, meaning getting them doing things decent like photography, music, sports, boxing, football. Something what will occupy them and keep them on the path of righteousness, you might say, on the straight and narrow and not go down that road. Because that's the goal. And that's why I did my bike ride, guys. And you'll hear more about my bike ride and stuff in a few episodes' time. But for now, I just want to thank you all dearly for coming on and listening to what I've got to say. And I hope, you liked it. If anyone has suffered with the consequence of what I've been talking about, please do drop me an email at terryhughes008@gmail.com. Thank you. God bless you all. I'll see you on the live chat, and I'll do that on Friday, 8 o'clock Friday. Cheers, guys. Watch out for the videos. Thank you. Please go people subscribe, and God bless you all. I'm going to end it there. God bless. Honestly, thank you so much.